I was listening to something a while ago, and I don't remember what it was, and I don't remember the full story. But it was basically talking about trusting the universe. And it was saying how there were these people, like a tribe, and they were in like a famine. They couldn't find any food. They were starving, and they come across this tree. And this tree has fruit that is like huge and bountiful and just like beautiful. And what they do is they pick off every single fruit and they take it back to the village. Only it's too much food for all of them to eat. And so what they didn't know though is like what kind of fruit it is, what kind of this. And so they eat as much as they can eat and they go to sleep. And when they wake up, their whole harvest is rotten. It rotted through the night. Once you pick it, it goes bad if you don't eat it. So then in the story, they talk about how these people, they try different ways. They try to preserve it. They try to hoard the food. And eventually they learn that they just have to trust. That they just have to trust that every morning the trees are going to produce food, and that there will always be enough for them to eat and not starve. And it was saying how once they learned that, they started finding more food. They started finding more abundance, and they only took what they needed for that day. They did not let the scarcity or, the hunger overtake them. They learned that there's a balance, and to leave some for others, and to not be greedy, and to not be fearful, to not be fearful that they're not going to have food to eat. And that's kind of like this process I've been learning, right? This hasn't been the first time where I've been pushed to the limit of like not having finances. Earlier this year, before I got benefits, I'm not getting benefits any longer, but before, when I was getting benefits, there was like this waiting period where I had moved into the apartment, I had rent paid, but I was in a waiting process, and it was when I got my first 3-day notice, and I was so fearful. My nervous system was so dysregulated. It was so hard for me to fathom anything working out for me at all. It was so hard for me. I remember, I had a breakdown. I was posting videos at this time, but I had a breakdown. I was in my house and I lost it. And I makes me emotional thinking about it, because I just felt so lost and helpless, and I really just was about to give up. And this was like, in the beginning of my spiritual journey. I think I've been on a spiritual journey since I was a child, but last year was when really things started, pushing forward. But I was so emotional, and I was crying, and, I hadn't told anybody. And I think my mom came over and she was like, let's go to the church and get some food. And I was kind of having a tantrum, and I was very dysregulated and having a tantrum. I didn't want to go get food. I didn't want the type of support that was being offered. It wasn't that I was ungrateful. It was that I wanted to be able to achieve everything completely on my own. I didn't want to have to ask for help. I didn't want to have to get free food from the church, food that I really didn't want to eat. I didn't want to feel like a burden. I felt like even though, I was going through all this stuff and healing from my complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I had so many feelings of unworthiness. I felt like I shouldn't be taking food from the families who might really need it, because God forbid I need to eat, but I told my mom that day, and my mom and me, our relationship has had complications in the past, but that day she was so supportive, and she told me about this church and local programs to apply for, and I ended up getting a rent payment from a church. And they did it super fast. And I was so grateful. And it was so scary, though, to trust and to surrender and to also ask for help. I had to go into the church and I don't really like churches, obviously. I don't like organized religion, but but yeah, I don't like organized religions or anything, but they were so helpful and loving, and they literally they paid it immediately. I wrote about my experiences and what I was going through. But yeah, they paid for it, and it helped me trust a little bit more. And then the next 3-day notice came, and I got it taken care of. I was able to make a payment plan, so then I was able to pay 2 times a month, because the way my benefits work is I would get small amounts 2 times a month, and the benefit amount was literally just enough for one bill, and then the rent. And I don't receive benefits anymore. But yeah, so I'm thinking about that and thinking about this now, right? I got served eviction papers the same day I got back from the vet, from taking Gollum to the vet a couple days ago. It was I took Gollum to the vet, and I was hit with another huge vet bill. My nervous system gets so dysregulated when my pets are ill. I've had 2 of my pets die. 3 of my pets die kind of tragically in front of me. They were old age, but it doesn't mean that it was any less traumatizing. But so I woke up and had to rush Gollum back to the vet, and then he was bleeding and just not doing well. So that was a lot, and I stayed calm throughout that whole thing. And then I came home and was going about the day, and just basically everything that could dysregulate me has been being thrown at me. My internet went out. I got a 48-hour notice for my PG&E, the vet bills, the eviction, and then I got served papers. I heard the doorbell ring, and I knew it was the server, but I decided, I'm not going to, because realistically, I could have put it off. I could have not answered the door. They have to, they have to make at least, I think, 3 or 4 attempts at different times of the day. So I could have dragged it out, but I had told myself and promised universe and source that, and God, that I wasn't going to try to postpone being pushed out of spaces that I'm not meant to be, because I'm not going to fight an eviction. My lease is up in April, so it's coming up, and I'm just know that I'll receive the funds and hopefully can stop the whole court process and just pay them up until the leases. I have money saved for it, but I just don't have the full amount. They won't accept partial payment, even if it's, close to the full amount. So hopefully I can just get the payment in full and submit my paperwork and tell the court, that I want to pay the full amount, and I'm hoping that, it takes a bit. So I just know that it's going to get resolved, and I'm not going to have an eviction on my record. And even if I did get an eviction on my record, it doesn't really matter, because fuck these systems. I don't care. Either way, I'm going to have a place to live. I'm going to have food to eat. I'm going to have shelter. But the point of this was to just trust in the moment that you're being provided for, and to be grateful for the abundance that surrounds us, and to not be too proud to accept and ask for help, and to not feel unworthy of assistance and support and help, because in America they have us brainwashed that we are not supposed to have community, we're not supposed to do all of these things, but we are strong when we support each other, whether it's through energy, love, or whatever we have to offer, But I love you. Have a beautiful day.